The program is basically organized and cut together, but I haven't looked at any of my audio mix. In other words, I just brought the clips in regardless of what their levels were. It's important for me to be able to see a couple of key things in my timeline. One, I want to increase the height so I can see the waveforms. I can do this by holding down the Shift key and using the scroll wheel on my mouse to make each of these larger. So you can better see what I'm doing, I'm going to adjust the layout of my screen, focusing much more on the audio section. If you're following along with the exercises, you probably have a higher resolution screen, and all you need to do is hold down the Shift modifier, use the scroll wheel, and then you can see all of the waveforms. Let me go ahead and play just about 3 or 4 seconds of this video. Well, I see immediately that if I had just dropped in the original clips, the music is too loud, Vanessa's voice is too soft, and there might even be times where we're getting louder and softer depending on how excited we're getting about the food, and I'm going to need to fix all of that. Well, the first thing I want to do is make everything a neutral level, a target level, and for most of you, that will be hitting this number here of -12. That means that generally your audio should hit around -12, but you could peak up to -6, or it could go down to -18 or even below. The key is you never want to exceed 0 because your audio will get distorted. Now, some of you might be delivering to a broadcast station, and they might have specific requirements for your audio mix level. It may be -18 or -20. The best rule of thumb is ask before you start editing, and you won't have to go back and fix it. So now let's start adjusting all of our audio levels. Now I can do that directly in the timeline by simply grabbing this center line right here and moving it up and down. And you can see there's a pop-up window that tells me how much louder or how much softer I'm making this clip. If I open up the effects control window with this clip loaded, I can also look at my volume here and see how much louder or softer I'm making it, and I can always reset it if I need to. Let me go ahead and play this, and we can look over here and see what our levels look like.
Welcome to Delight Gluten-Free Eats.
Well, here's the challenge. I can't see what my levels look like because I'm hearing Vanessa's voice and the music. If I want to just isolate that one piece of music and look at its levels, I can go to the audio clip mixer and see just each of the tracks and what levels they're playing back at.
Welcome to Delight Gluten-Free Eats.
So I can see her voice here and the music here, and as other tracks come into play, I will see those tracks. But again, that might make it a little bit difficult. Let's jump back to the Effects Control tab, and I want to show you a very useful trick when trying to mix individual audio levels. There's 2 buttons here, Mute and Solo. Mute turns off a track, Solo isolates that track. So if I just want to hear what's on audio 2, I can hit the Solo button, and now when I play it back, I can see and hear just my music. So that's a quick way to find out if your audio levels by themselves are hitting your target, which in this case is -12. Now let me zoom in by pressing the plus key and show you a couple of ways that I can accelerate this process. I know, for instance, that all of these were recorded at the same audio level. If I go over and adjust one of them by making it louder, and if you notice, I'm not hearing Vanessa and myself speak, I'm just hearing the music, that's because I had soloed this track. So let me go ahead and solo our track.
Excited to welcome you to our test kitchen. My friend Ave is here today to learn how to make an amazing gluten-free main dish. So we're making one of my favorite things right now.
If you notice, as I pulled up the level, I actually hit the target I wanted to, but as soon as I switched to the next clip, it popped back. So you need to make sure that if you're going to bring up your levels while listening to it, that you don't have the clip end before you let go of your mouse.
I'm Vanessa Weisbord, Executive Editor of Delay Gluten-Free Magazine.
So that's pretty good right there. I kind of like that level to start with. And if I want to apply that to all of my clips, I can simply select it, copy, Command-C or Control-C on a Windows machine, select these other clips that have the same levels, right-click on it, choose Paste Attributes, and select just Volume to bring up the audio levels to match on all of these clips.
So we're making one of my favorite things right now, and this is a honey barbecue chicken pizza.
I just want to show you one last way to raise and lower the level of a clip while editing. I can go over here and hit the space bar, and instead of grabbing that middle line and moving it up and down, I can use the left and right bracket keys, and that's going to increase the volume 1 dB at a time. And dB is just the way that they measure audio. If I hold down the Shift key and use the brackets, it'll jump up by 3 dB, which means every 3 dB it gets twice as loud or half as loud. Now, two things just went wrong. First of all, I affected the clips that I just worked on, and second, I can't even hear the levels. And I wanted to point this out because a lot of times in the rush of editing, you don't switch things back to the way that they should be. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and turn off solo and point out that if you have tracks selected, it overrides where the playhead is playing, and you're only going to affect these tracks. So let me unselect everything by clicking away from it. Nothing is muted. And now when I hit the space bar to play, I can use the left and right bracket keys to increase and decrease my volume.
I'm going to add the yeast and the warm water and then let it sit and covered and then punch it down and then let it rise.
So that's pretty good and that's pretty quick, and I didn't have to worry about using my mouse at all. So there's the basics on making sure that all your audio levels are good. And the next step would be keyframing them so you can change the volume over time.